Most college students just want to feel better. You want to stop feeling overwhelmed, unmotivated, stressed, and burnt out by the workload you have every semester. And in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to feel better. Hey, I'm Clarissa. I'm an academic life coach, and I help adult college women earn A's without spending all of their time studying. And if you hate the way that you feel every semester, you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video, because I'm going to be talking about moving past overwhelm in a way that you have not heard before. This video is about to blow your mind. So here's what I know. Most college students associate stress, overwhelm, and burnout to what is happening throughout the semester. They associate it to the amount of things, the amount of reading, the amount of work, the amount of assignments that they have to get done. But what if I told you that the amount of things that are on your to-do list isn't the reason why you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and burnt out? I know it feels that way, but what you have on your to-do list doesn't cause your feelings. Your thoughts do. And I'm gonna need you to stick with me here, because I know as you're hearing these words come out of my mouth, your brain is trying to challenge me on that. But this is actual science, it's actual psychology about how feelings are created. So what I'm gonna do to demonstrate this is I'm gonna share with you a tool that I use with my one-on-one academic life coaching students, and also the students inside of my group program called Study School, to help them to see how the grades that they have, the amount of things that are being asked of them to do, the things that you have going on at home, aren't actually causing your feelings. It's the way that you're thinking about them. And this tool that I'm sharing with you is called the model. I did not invent it. It is based off of cognitive behavioral therapy, and it was invented by Brooke Castillo. Not cognitive behavioral therapy, but the tool that I'm going to share with you. I need to explain this because this is what's going to help you to see that you have a lot more control over the way that you feel than you think. So I'm going to pull out my whiteboard here, and I'm going to explain how the world works. So in life, things happen to us. We call these things situations or circumstances. Situations or circumstances are the facts of life. It's you describing what happened. I got X grade on this exam. I have 25 things to do this week and 2 hours to do them. You're just explaining what happened. It's the circumstance, the situation. Our life circumstances, the things that happen to us, are neutral. What I mean by that is they're not good or bad, stressful or unstressful, overwhelming or not overwhelming. They just are what they are. It's just what's happening. Okay, we're not going to argue with reality here. We're just going to state this is what's happening. This is what I'm going through. The only way it becomes stressful, anxiety-inducing, overwhelming is when we attach a story to what's happening. So it's through our thoughts, our description, our perception, our opinion about what's happening, that we make something overwhelming, stressful, or calm, or fun. So for example, let's say that the circumstances, you have 10 things on your to-do list. When you think, I don't have time to complete those 10 things, that thought, I don't have time, is what actually creates the emotion or the feeling of overwhelm. It's not the 10 things on your list, because there is another student somewhere on your campus who is working full-time, who has 3 kids, and they're not thinking, I don't have time. They might be thinking, I have so much time to get that done this week. That's how we know that it's not the circumstance, it's not the situation, because just like you, they have 10 things on their list. The difference is the thought that they're having about the 10 things on the list, the story that they're telling themselves. So your thought, I don't have time, produces an emotion, and we take action from that emotion. And the two ways in which we can take action from the emotion is we can either react or we can respond. Normally, actions that are reactive are based off of habits, patterning. This is what I always do when I feel this way. Actions that are based on a response, on the other hand, actually take into consideration all of the details, all of the data, everything that's happening, and then you get a choice on what you want to do. Whatever you choose to do is going to produce a result. Whether or not you like the result doesn't matter, but it's going to produce a result. The thing that I want you to notice and the thing that I want you to see here is that the result that was created came from the actions that you took. And the actions that you took came out of your response or reaction about how you felt. And how you felt came from what you told yourself, the story that you told yourself, the things that you were thinking about your situation. You feel the way that you feel because of how you're thinking about your situation. It's your thoughts, your perception, your opinion about it. And here's what I see happen when I explain this to students. They see how their thoughts created their feeling created how they reacted or responded, and that reaction or response created the result that they now have in their life. And their immediate thought is, okay, so what I need to do then is I need to change the way that I'm thinking about the situation. And they're not wrong, because that's literally the pattern that I just showed you. But there's something else that we need to take into consideration here. Your actions, the way that you behave, also drive the way that you feel. And the reason this happens is because you have a thought about how you're acting. And so that thought is producing an emotion. So if you are acting like someone who's productive and gets things done, then your thought is, wow, I'm a great student. I'm really organized. I really have my crap together. And when you think that, you feel very differently than when you procrastinate or watch Netflix for 10 hours instead of working on your paper. When you take those actions, you think, I'm so lazy, I'm really behind, and those thoughts produce a completely different emotion. So it's really important that you see that it's not just your thoughts here that can produce feelings, but you can also behave in a certain way, take certain actions, and those actions can produce an emotion because of how you're thinking about the actions that you're taking, the story that you're spinning about the actions that you're taking, what you're making it mean. The reason why I wanted to really make sure to emphasize that is because a lot of times when students feel like they can't change the way that they're thinking about their situation, it feels really hard, they don't believe it, they can't get behind it, their instinct is to just change the things that they're doing, to act differently, to create a different plan, to build another routine, to change the way that they're studying. But what happens when you approach it that way, or even when you hyper focus on, I need to think positive, I need to change the way that I'm thinking, is that just becomes another item on your to-do list that you don't follow through on. And now you feel guilty and ashamed and embarrassed that you can't think positive and that you can't change the way that you're behaving. And what happens when you do that is you compound emotions, because not only are you already feeling sad or unmotivated, but now you're adding guilt on top of that, and now you're adding shame on top of that, now you're adding embarrassment and anger on top of that. So you have all of these emotions kind of swirling in your body, and now you feel really bad about your college experience. The point of this video isn't to give you another thing to focus on and another thing to do. The point of this video is to show you your pattern of thinking. The point of this video is for you to see why it is that you feel bad in the first place. Because if you can understand where that emotion comes from, what's driving it, what's creating it, then what you have now is you have opportunity and insight that you can use to start changing the way that you feel. And having this information is so powerful, especially for college students, because so much of you think that the way that you're feeling, the stress, the overwhelm, the burnout, is the school's problem. It's the professor's problem. It's the situation. You blame it on things outside of you. And that's fine if that's what you want to believe. But when you make the way that you feel someone else's problem, then it becomes someone else's responsibility to make you feel better. And what if they don't want to? What if you can't get them to change so that you feel better? Then are you just gonna feel shitty the entire time that you're in school? Having this information gives you back your power as a student. It gives you choice and agency and control back over your life, which is what most of college students are chasing when they're looking on YouTube for videos on how to study and how to manage your time. You feel out of control, and so you're trying to control your external circumstances, the way that you're studying, the way that you're planning your time, to make you feel better. And the reason why it doesn't work, and then you find yourself watching another video and another video, and or sticking to it for a little while and then falling off, is because you missed the entire point. It's not the lack of study routine. It's not the lack of planning. It's not your teacher's fault. It's not your professor's fault. It's not the school's fault. It's not that there's too many assignments. It's not that you have to work while you're in college and your kids won't leave you alone. It's the way that you're thinking about all of those things, what you're making it mean, that is creating how you feel. This is so good, because when you can understand that you create how you feel and you feel bad, it means that you have the power to make yourself feel better. All I'm doing here is just offering you another way to feel calm, to feel smart, to feel capable, to feel productive, to feel in control, that doesn't require that your number of things on your to-do list change or that your situation changes, because 9 times out of 10 we don't have control over that. So now that you truly get this, that things happen to us, we have circumstances and situations, and those circumstances and situations aren't good or bad. They're not stressful or not stressful. They're not overwhelming or not overwhelming. They're not, happy or sad. They just are what they are. And that by the way that we choose to think about them, we create the stress and the overwhelm and the burnout. And that from that place of stress, overwhelm, burnout, we're either going to react or respond. And whatever we choose to do or not do is going to create a result in our life. And you really get that it really is all about the way that you're thinking. Because even when your actions produce your feeling, the only reason why the actions produce the feeling is because of how you thought about yourself now that you're taking those actions, what you made it mean. So it all comes back to your thoughts. So now that you understand that, how do we go about using that information to feel better? So I'm going to show you, very similarly to how I showed you in the last video, how to use this coaching tool to help yourself feel calm, in control, productive, capable, smart, however you want to feel, even when things get hard and shit starts hitting the fan throughout the semester. So the things that we need to focus on here is either changing the way that we think or changing our behaviors, how we're acting. I also like to call this skills, because when you build skill, it creates this feeling of certainty or knowingness, because you think to yourself, I know what to do, I have the tools. But before we can even get into changing our thoughts, you have to be aware of what your thought patterns are. You have to be able to recognize what you're thinking. So this is where this tool, this model comes in, and this is what I use with my one-on-one clients and with my group coaching program to help students see how they're creating their feelings, how those feelings are driving their procrastination, their productivity, and how their procrastination or their productivity is creating the grades that they have, the results that they have, all of that. This is the tool that we use, and I'm going to show you how to use it right now. So on a blank sheet of paper, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write CTFA. Give yourself a lot of space for this A, and then R. What these stand for is the C stands for the circumstance. What is the situation that we're dealing with? And when you write the situation, you just want to write down the facts. So if you say you got an A on an exam, then you want to write A on exam. You don't want to write, I got a good grade, I got a bad grade, because those are opinions. Somebody who has always gotten a D and finally gets a C thinks they did amazing. If you're used to A's and you get a C, you might think that's a bad grade. So it's important that you just write down the facts. If we're dealing with someone saying something, you don't want to say they were being rude to me. You just want to put down what they said. Just the facts. The next thing that you want to do is fill in the T line. This stands for your thought, the main thought that you're having about the situation. So if you get a C on an exam, your thought might be, I'm not smart. You want to write that thought down next to the T. Then what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, when I think that thought, I'm not smart, how do I feel? Okay. And your feelings are one word emotions. Something that might be really helpful for you is to Google a feeling list or a feeling wheel so that you can see all of the different ways that you can describe your emotions and your feelings. So you want to put that here. The next thing that you want to ask yourself is, when I feel sad, when I feel productive, when I feel capable, when I feel incompetent, this is what I tend to do. So these are the actions that you take. You want to write down what you do from that emotional state, and also what you don't do from that emotional state, right? So you might go watch Netflix, and then that also means that you don't plan your week, right? So you want to write down, what do I do and what don't I do from this emotional state? How am I responding? How am I reacting? How am I avoiding? How am I hiding? How am I showing up? Those are the types of questions that you want to ask yourself to fill in the action line. And then the last thing that you're going to want to fill in is the result that these actions are going to produce. So if I do these things, if I don't do these things, then it means this is what's going to happen. The most important thing for you to do after you fill this out is to look at it, to notice what happened when you thought whatever thought you wrote down in this line here. How did you make yourself feel overwhelmed? How did you make yourself feel stressed? How did you make yourself feel incompetent? How did you make yourself feel anxious? Whatever it is, you want to notice it. Okay, and what did I do when I was anxious? And what did I do when I felt incompetent? And what did I do when I felt incapable? And what did I do when I felt overwhelmed? And what happened when I did those things? What did it produce? Again, the point of this is to see how most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, we create our own suffering by the way that we choose to think about the situation. Byron Katie, who is an author, has this quote that I love, and she says, "When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time." Most of us feel shitty going throughout the semester. We feel stressed, we feel burnt out because we try to argue with what is. We wish it were different than what it actually is like. And every time you wish something was different, that's the thought that you're having, I wish this was different, you're going to create stress and anxiety and overwhelm. And then from that place, you're gonna take action. And a lot of the times when we're not aware that our thoughts are creating the things that are happening to us, we end up just repeating the pattern. And this is why I said, like, the true point of this video here is to just get you to see how your thoughts are creating how you're feeling throughout the semester, and that means that you have the power to control how you feel. You have the power to change how you feel. You have the power to change your state. And if you can change the way that you're feeling, it's going to change the way that you show up as a student, which means your reality is going to change, which means you're going to be able to create and achieve and do all of the things that it is that you want to do. But that can't happen unless you first notice and see the thought patterns that are creating what you're currently living. That's really what I want you to notice and see in this video. Like, trust me, I know that there are other people who create YouTube videos on studying and how to succeed at college who are going to tell you, just get yourself motivated, watch an inspiring video, download this app, work on your habits, work on your routine. And yes, that is a part of succeeding as a student, but if you don't get this part under control, the stories that you're spinning about yourself, the past that you're bringing in and how that's affecting you, you're not going to be able to show up. And I know for a fact that many of you are trying a lot of these strategies that you're seeing on YouTube and researching and Googling, and that you're not able to stick to it. You're not seeing the change. You're not feeling better despite doing these things. And the reason is because you have all of these thought patterns and these stories running in the background, and you're not even aware of it. You're not even seeing how it is affecting you. And thus you stay the same. You stay in the same pattern semester after semester after semester. So what I really want you to really understand in this video is that you have to be willing to see what you're thinking, to look at what you're thinking, and to question it. And that is what we're going to be talking about in the next video. If you haven't noticed, this is an entire series that I'm doing all about mindset for college students. I'm just, sneaking in really enticing titles for you so that you'll actually click on the video and see the information that you need to see in order to truly change and create transformation in your academic experience. But in the next video, we're going to talk about, okay, great, now I know what I'm thinking. Now I understand what my thought patterns are. Help me to start changing it. What do I need to think? How do I even go about the process of changing it? How do I even go about the process of changing my habits? Like, what does it look like? That's what we're going to dive into in detail in the next video. If you don't want to wait that long though, and you want to start seeing, like, you really want to see how to start changing your thought patterns today, my recommendation for you is to sign up for my free workshop, How to Earn Straight A's Without Studying All the Damn Time. Because in that free workshop, I do go over the common thought patterns that unsuccessful students have and the shift that they need to make in their thought process to get themselves to change and to become the type of student that they thought they'd be when they enrolled in college. And the link for that will be down in the description box. I would love to know in the comments what your biggest takeaway from this video is or was. I'd love to have a conversation about it. So if you can just head on over to the comment section underneath this video. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, how this landed. I will be sure to respond. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.